Welcome to the Real Estate Masters Podcast, where we interview the top names in the real estate game. If you want to grow your real estate business, see more podcasts, or get free resources, go to www.remcommunity.com. The only podcast that allows you to directly connect with the guests and many of the highest level names in the real estate game.
You are in for a treat with our next guest. Do me a favor, subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review, and don't forget to go to remcommunity.com to connect with some of the highest level real estate professionals in the United States through our community and through our high level masterminds. Let's go.
All right, welcome. We are here with Mr. Dean Rogers. Dean is an ex-NFL football player turned real estate investor. He played for the San Diego Chargers, which is now obviously the LA Chargers. He's very passionate about creating financial freedom. He's scaled his business to doing 100 flips a year, something that a lot of real estate investors have been able to do. He is a wholesaling machine and continues to build his real estate rental portfolio. Married his high school sweetheart, which is cool, and is a dad of 2 boys. I'm a dad of 1, so I'll probably catch up with you soon, Dean. Maybe, maybe not. Welcome, Dean. So what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
Thanks for having me, man. Just doing the grind, as you said, on the pursuit of financial freedom. That's where my passion is. Just wanting to create a lifestyle. Spend time with my family, do the things that I enjoy and love to do. So that's kind of why I started down this path.
Yeah, that's interesting because a lot of real estate people get into real estate because they want financial freedom and time freedom. But it sucks their energy, it sucks their time. And I've been there, trust me, I've been down that rabbit hole a few times in my 20-year career. But you, I noticed, have a very balanced life, at least from what I can perceive. You've got 2 kids, you're home a lot. You actually have something not a lot of other people have also, which is a business that runs in a different state. So when I tell people that I run my business from a different state, they're pretty surprised. And then when I heard you do that as well, or not, I'm sorry, different city for you.
Different city. It's like a different state because California is so big.
Yeah, it's pretty much a different state, right? So tell us about that. So I guess kind of give us your backstory, how you got into flipping, how you got into the market that you're in now, and I guess your goals and why you do what you do.
Yeah. So a little bit about my story. So I grew up in Central California. A bunch of small like farm and dairy towns, really not a lot of, I guess, opportunity, even though opportunity is everywhere. So don't tell yourself that if you're in a small city. Growing up, sports were my passion and that's all I knew. Didn't really focus on anything else. I knew I wanted to be a business-like person and be an entrepreneur because my parents were both entrepreneurs growing up in the technology space. So coming out of there, going to college, was an All-American in football, as you mentioned, got signed by the Chargers. And that was it, man. I had made it. That was going to be my life. And I was there. It was everything I dreamed of and more. My career was cut short though, just due to injuries. The year I went into the league, they just started talking about concussions. I had 2 in college, nothing, they weren't major ones, they were minor, but in the grand scheme of things, I did start to feel it. From playing tight end in college, running back in high school, and now a fullback and a little tight end for the Chargers, now I'm, instead of lining up 1 or 2 yards away from someone and running full speed into them as a tight end, now I'm lined up 10 yards away from the guy I'm going to go crush heads with. So, I was going back after even practices, icing the back of my head, just thinking, wow, I need to try to control the swelling because I was just beating my head in that much. So I knew, even though I was playing great, my body from the neck down felt better than it ever had in my life. North Turner would stop me in the halls saying, hey, you're going to have a long career. I mean, I literally felt like I'm here, I made it. And I had to hang up the cleats. It was the hardest decision ever for sure. But the experience was one I'll never forget. I still have dreams sometimes that I'm still there. I'm still playing because it was that special. But coming out of that, I saw that lifestyle. I've always desired for more. Fortunately, I didn't waste any time. As soon as I was done playing, college buddy of mine I played football with from UC Davis, he called me up and said, "Hey, you need to check out this company I'm working at. They're going to go public in a year. Just amazing place to be." So he got me an interview. Didn't waste any time, and that really set me off into my career, my professional career. I'm thinking, man, this stuff is easy. I just show up. I'm not working out for 4 hours a day plus practice. I mean, physically it was so easy, but at the same time it was limiting. I busted my ass for a whole year, which obviously, is nothing in the grand scheme of the professional world. But coming from a sports background, hey, if you prove yourself for a year, they're going to try to get you the ball more or whatever the end result is, right? You prove yourself. Well, they just gave me a pat on the back and said, "That's great. You're going to keep making the same amount that you were making," which was a big decline from where, how much I signed for with the Chargers naturally. So that really bothered me. And I was living in San Francisco, super expensive there. And so I just went online, typed in how to get started in real estate. I was thinking, what am I passionate about? What else could I focus my energy on? And I stumbled upon Sean Terry, who's a wholesaler out of Arizona, and he's just got a super charismatic personality. I still give him shout outs as the guy who got me started in this business. I just found it, I connected with it, and he would just go into the nitty gritty detail, not just like, hey, you can buy and sell houses, you can wholesale houses, flip them. He gave really specific actions, and I followed it to a T. And just from listening to his free podcasts, within the first 3 months, I did my first deal after committing to moving forward. So I became obsessed with it. Ever since, I've been obsessed and super passionate. As you said, we've scaled it over the years. I've been doing it for 7 years now, 7 years. And over those 7 years have just scaled it. And for a handful of years there, we were doing, up to 100 flips a year. And then at the beginning of 2019, just had a gut feeling that, hey, we're really good at finding deals. The markets at that time was getting a little tighter. People are overbidding things. Let's just pass on our good findings to other people who want to flip. So we got more into wholesaling, and building our rental portfolio. So, beginning of 2018, the light bulb went off, like, hey, I'm flipping, I'm making good money. Like, this is great. But as soon as the money comes in, it goes right back out as we're doing, 20 flips at a time. So, started holding on to properties and then focusing heavily on it. We're up to 35 physical properties, which some of those are multi-unit. So we have 52 doors. My goal on that is not necessarily a number. It's more so a passive net cash flow that I want to hit a month, just so I know I don't have to worry about money again. Like, I can wake up and go to sleep without doing any work, and what I want is there. So that's really what the end goal is, and we can get into the specifics on that if you want. But yeah, man, that's kind of where my story is and where I'm at right now today.
Yeah, I love growing and scaling and automating. That's one of the things that I love, because again, most entrepreneurs, not just real estate, but entrepreneurs in general, overwork themselves. They wear too many hats. Not a lot of work-life balance. So tell us a little bit about that. Let's dive into that a little bit. What are some things that you feel like have helped you to create, I guess, that balance, to be able to systemize things, to be able to spend time with your kids, and to be able to trust what's going on up in Visalia, because you're in San Diego, right? So you're what?
Yeah.
Is that a 7-8 hour drive, right?
Yeah. Depending on traffic and how many times the kids make you stop, it's either 5 hours or 8 hours.
Right. Yeah. So tell us about the systems and the processes and all that stuff that help you to grow to the 100 flips a year. But even what you're doing now is still high volume. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when I first started out, I was just a solopreneur, like basically almost everybody starts out just doing it on your own, figuring it out on your own. which is generally a slower path, right? If you find others that either elevate you or you can partner with, which partnerships, tread lightly, you got to find someone who just happens to be the perfect match. I feel like I found that person a little after a year of being in the business. I was finding great deals and selling them to this person in Visalia. And then he just asked me one day, hey, I love what you're doing. Do you want to start flipping? Said, sure. I mean, I don't have enough money myself to fund these deals. He's like, don't worry about it. Just keep bringing good deals. So that's how we started, how I started getting into the flip game. Now, my story is riddled full of mistakes. Made plenty.
All of us are, man. All of our stories are.
I've got several hundred thousands of dollars of mistakes that I'll be happy to share with you and try to save you from. But if you're not trying hard, you're probably if you don't make a mistake, you're probably not trying hard enough. Is the way I put it. So that being said, made all the mistakes, but to scale it, it was really important about the relationships. First was finding private lenders for us to scale to that size of flips. We didn't have enough capital to do it ourselves. So, just by, I think, the law of attraction, fell into some amazing private lenders. Some of my early marketing campaigns with direct mail stumbled upon one guy who had about $5 million in the bank and said, hey, I don't want to sell my house, but what kind of interest would you give me if I lent you money?
Nice.
So that turned into be one of our best lenders. My first true private lender that I found personally happened to be one of our best of all time, and still a good friend to us. He brought some more friends with him, and then from there, just our reputation built more private lenders from there. And then additionally, building relationships with people who would bring us deals, wholesalers, realtors, that was important. My niche has always been marketing. So just paid marketing and relationships have always been my niche, just finding deals. So really lean in heavy on that. And then when we really scaled up, it was a gut feeling to say, hey, our system's working right now. We're doing about, 40, 50 flips. Let's just double our marketing, triple our marketing. That's what we did. And it equally scaled up. That's when we really started seeing results, and getting as much as 12 plus deals in a given month. So that's when things are really smoking and fun and exciting, and, heart's beating all the time just because you're like, whoo, we're running fast, so those were some fun times. And then as we scaled, I being the acquisitions person in the relationship, my partner being the boots on the ground in Visalia, managing the projects, going on appointments when we needed to close them. I personally just felt like I was taking on too much and wearing too many hats, right? I'm the CFO, if you want to try to put a title on it, doing all the financials and the accounting. I was the acquisitions, the marketing, all those things. So that's when we before we hired our acquisitions manager, we actually hired an office manager just to help with all the paperwork and the logistics. So that was our first hire, and that was just like so much weight off the shoulders to be able to hand some of those things over. Trust is definitely hard, right? This is your baby, it's your livelihood. And for someone else, in most cases, it's just a job, right? I made a mistake here and there. I missed this here or there. That can cost you thousands of dollars, right? So for us as the owner, we're more sensitive to those things. But yeah, so the office manager really helped. We had her for that one person for about a year. Then we had our acquisitions manager come in sometime within that year. And that for the first probably 4 or 5 months, I didn't give everything to him. I wanted him to, it was kind of feast or famine, go kill your own food. And and it wasn't working out too great for that particular personality type and relationship. So I handed over all the inbound marketing and kind of set that off. And he's, done a great job with it, and has become a key team member. Then we got a new office manager. Our original one had moved, and we got another one that she's just dynamite. She's a total bulldog. She gets into acquisitions too and helps find deals and close deals. So right now I'm really, happy and excited where we're at. And we got a pretty good system that's running. We have a virtual bookkeeper as well that helps run all of our back end books. And that's super helpful as well. So that's what we look like today.
How many people on your team? Acquisitions manager, office manager, virtual bookkeeper. Was I missing someone there too?
And then me and my business partner. So total of 5 people working on the business full time.
Okay, awesome. And what runs all that? So, some people use, Podio. Some people use, like, we just switched to Trello, which is a very simple system.
Yep.
We've invested in Podio, automating it and all that kind of stuff. We've invested in complicated softwares. We've gone all over the place, and we come back to just being simple with spreadsheets and Trello and that kind of thing. What runs your operation? What systems would you recommend other people to look into?
Yeah, so most people would just laugh me out of the room if they knew what we were doing at the scale that we're doing. I mean, I'm staring at it right now. It's just a Google sheet.
Yeah.
That is our lead system, which is good and bad. I could pick it to pieces and say why it's terrible. I could also lift it up and say why it's the best thing we could ever do. We're going to be moving to Investor Fuse. They're coming with their version 3. That they're in beta right now, but they're going to use us as one of their first high volume customers that they onboard. So, I mean, that could literally be in 30 days from now is what I just got a message today from one of their key people on the team. So, all the follow-up is manual. Everything that's in the Google sheet is color coordinated from what priority level they're in. It's super easy. It's simple. It's really, agile and flexible to just dive in and out, throw on filters for things. So in terms of the easeability, it's so simple for us. In terms of the follow-up, it's very manual. So Investor Fuse is going to automate follow-up for text messages, for emails. They're going to be integrating for direct mail as well. So they're going to have like the silver bullet that we've been wanting. Obviously, they have all of the scheduling things. Hey, call this person back in 3 days, and it pops up in your feed. Mm-hmm. Hey, today you need to call this person. Keeps track of all the notes. That's not what we have today. It's all manual, but what we're doing is working,
Yeah, I always tell people to keep it simple. Once you get super complicated, I mean, even if you have a great system that has all this automation, sometimes, if there's something disconnected or something doesn't work right, just like what we had with Podio, I mean, it can all just kind of go by the wayside. But at the same time, you've got to be able to automate in some respects. So for us, we have a lot of automations, but when it comes down to it, we use Trello, we use boards, we, take properties from step to step and put our notes in there and put our due dates and that kind of thing. And it works well. So you got to do what works for you, right? I mean, it's not Absolutely. One size fits all.
I've tried Podio. I've done it twice. I've tried to, how long ago was it? Maybe 2 years ago. I tried getting into it. I was like, well, everybody's using it. Like, there's something wrong with me. Obviously, I need to be using it. So I tried to get into it, and I was like, wow, this is like, I could spend the rest of my life tinkering with this thing because I'm super analytical. I'm into the weeds and the details. And so I would just drive myself nuts with Podio just because of how overly customizable it is. And my understanding from hearing people, like, it can also break pretty easily too. So
yeah, we had that happen way too many times.
Yeah, so I'm not too excited about getting into Podio.
Yeah. So tell us, what are some keys to your success or any kind of success? If you had to narrow it down to a couple things, what are some things you'd want listeners to know?
Um, I think the key thing for most people that I see are successful um, are first and foremost just the energy that they give off, um, and like the way they conduct business. Um, if you do things right and you're not trying to cheat people out of things. I mean, there's in any business there's a lot of crooks, right? Well, maybe not a lot, but there's the bad apples,
Mm-hmm.
and I've run across some that have cost me some serious money. Um, but that's a whole nother story. So, I think if you're gonna do right by people, treat them right, ethically, do the right thing, and you're going to put out a really positive energy and you're going to work hard at it. I think just that, as simple and maybe as lame as it sounds, you're going to attract other people. If you're walking around with a smile, you're excited about what you're doing, you're going to attract other people and they're going to want to work with you. Just by having a good personality and showing up, providing some sort of value, even if it's just hustle work, like things are going to materialize around you. Deals are going to come to you, even if you don't have, the money to do it or the experience to do it. Things are going to naturally, kind of gravitate to you. So I'd say that's the first and foremost thing that anybody can do. Um, and then I think the people that are very successful are typically really focused. That's probably the second thing, is they're really focused. There's a lot of shiny objects. I know the first probably year or two I was in the business, the first year I did deals. I had, immediate success by actually having proof of concept and making money. But man, I was chasing like, ooh, that looks fun. Oh, that someone said I could make a ton of money doing this, so I'm going to go chase that. So I did plenty of that. I remember at one point I looked at myself in the mirror and said, man, you just wasted like 3 months. Like
Mm-hmm.
you completely just threw away 3 months chasing, these multi-million-dollar houses in LA when I knew nothing about LA, because they looked sexy and the spreads were going to be good. So, yeah, I would say give focus, start in an area that you feel like you would be successful, complements what you're good at. You're not going to truly know what you're good at until you start doing it. So just because you think you want to be a multi-family, building owner, or you want to flip a ton of houses, you might not be good at flipping houses. You might be good at something else, right? So don't put all your eggs in one basket, but give focus and see it through, that you're what you're good at. And the third is just overall grit and persistence, unwillingness to give up. I have shared stories about just getting our asses kicked, right? And
Mm-hmm.
some of those stories are so painful. It's like wow, most people would probably just give up if that happened to them. I mean, that's serious pain. But it kind of comes with the territories. That's in most people's stories, the life of an entrepreneur. There's a lot out there, I'm sure, that don't have any major hiccups. Well, maybe not a lot. I think almost every story I've heard of someone being successful is like hit rock bottom at one point, been bankrupt, whatever it is, and then risen to glory. But those are probably the three main areas I'd say are what at least sets me apart, and what I see others do as well.
Yeah, what you just said was kind of cool, and about hitting rock bottom. I've hit rock bottom many times. I know a lot of other entrepreneurs have. And if you look at some of the most successful businesses out there, Starbucks, Zappos, I think maybe even Amazon. I don't know if they were or not, but a lot of those companies almost didn't happen. They almost went under. I mean, they were that close. If you read some of the books about those companies, it was, one little thing that happened that took them from where they were rock bottom to getting them to that, that trajectory to finally where they took off. And so a lot of people think they have to have all the success, that it needs to be easier, that I mean, gosh, for the first 10 years of my business, I got so stressed out about all the little things, thinking that I was the one having the problems, that everybody else in business was just floating along. So that's a big lesson I had to learn, was that people go through stuff. I still go through stuff. It makes you stronger. I mean, from 20 years ago, if some of the things happened 20 years ago that were happening now, just with stuff falling through or people stealing or whatever it is, it's like, man, 20 years ago, I would have been devastated with a lot of these things. But now
Yeah.
it's just like, you got to brush it off and you got to move on. But another thing I want to share, and you probably can attest to this, but a lot of people don't do what they're good at. They do a lot of things that they're not good at and that they don't like. So, I think part of a successful business is knowing what you do very well. And, part of that is not chasing those shiny objects of something you know nothing about. That doesn't mean you can't explore them. That doesn't mean you can't look into them. But
Yeah.
if it's way outside of what you do and it damages what you're doing now, then obviously that could hurt you. But also just from a day-to-day standpoint, I think you mentioned something earlier about some things that you were doing, and you ended up having other people jump into those roles. Would you agree that was kind of a turning point for you, was having some of those people do those things you didn't like, so you could concentrate on some of the bigger, more important stuff, right?
Yeah, 100%. I would say in terms of balance and being able to scale without burning out, 100%. I'm a detailed analytic person that could sit here and create a 1,000 formulas in one spreadsheet. I was up last night till 1, coincidentally, working on a KPI spreadsheet in my Google Sheets, just like reorganizing it and making changes. So I'll be the guy that will do stuff like that. But at the same time, I could be, the face talking with a private lender. I can jump in and out of like any type of conversation, but you can't do it all and have balance at the same time. I won't try to say that I have perfect balance and that I do nothing but sit on a beach all day. But at the same time, every day of this week, I have been at the beach, till 10 a.m. with the family doing a workout. We'll get breakfast, do that, and, have a good time. So I've definitely been able to create much more balance in the life, spend a lot more time with the family, having 2 boys that are just total, animals, and partially because of me just throwing them around and getting them all excited and
Giving them
everything.
concussions.
So, no concussions. No, I throw them into pillows, not into the walls. So yeah, I think that is a big part, is just like you said, understanding what you're good at and what you're not. And then also, if you do want to scale, you have to bring in other people into it. You got to structure it to where it makes sense financially for everybody. People are incentivized correctly. When I was actually hiring some of my first people, I was at your mastermind, and we were talking about pay structures, and you and others in the room helped me determine what was a fair structure and how to do that. So, that's a really important piece of it.
Yeah, having other people around you to help you make decisions. Again, first 10 years of my career, if I could go back and look at what I was and what I did, I mean, some of the things that you said were the opposite. I was the opposite. I had bad energy. I was always serious because I thought that's what a business owner needed to do, right? You go to a job site, you're the authoritarian. I didn't ask for a lot of help, but there's so much help out there, right? I mean, there's masterminds, there's people that have been there and done that, and that's another thing that I wish someone would have taught me in the very beginning, was that you don't have to go through all the mistakes, right? That's why there's podcasts. That's why there's education. That's why there's masterminds. That's why there's coaching. That's why there's, all of these tools that you need to plug into. I mean, those are some of the greatest investments that you can make, are in yourself and getting in front of great people that have been there, done that, or at the very least have the resources for you, or maybe just have a great idea for you. Maybe they haven't done it, but they're like, hey, Dean, have you tried that? And then it's like all of a sudden it changes the game. So speaking of investment, what is the thing that you would invest in the most. So if you had $10,000, or if someone else had $10,000 just sitting there, and you could say you need to invest it in this, what would that be, do you think?
Whew, that's a tough one. I think it certainly depends on what that person's skill set is, um, and what experience they have to date. So, are we saying someone who's just starting out?
Anybody. Yeah, I would say probably someone that's more in business, whether they're a beginner or they're super experienced. If there's something they can invest in with their business that they're in now.
Yeah. Um, I'd, I mean, the first two things that always come to mind are either in some form of knowledge that you're going to gain through it's a person or it's a course or whatever it may be. I think education is good, but the right education, because you can go get free, and there's some really good free stuff too. I had a student that I was coaching just recently that he saw a ton of free stuff on YouTube, and it was all great information, but it wasn't focused. It wasn't giving him the clarity and the direct answers he needed. He wanted absolute clarity on how do I use this contract? Like, the contract's been explained to me on this YouTube, or, hey, just use this contract. It's easy, fill this out. But like, I want every word explained to me, right? Some of those details are really hard when you're just getting started out, or even if you're new or experienced getting into something new, needing to have those details like put in plain language for you. So I'd say some sort of education or coaching, or sometimes paying to join something for relationships like masterminds, right? I think, or going to an event where you're going to meet and start new relationships is good. And then second, I would always say is marketing. Whether it's someone that you need to go to that's gonna really show you what the right way to do marketing is, or if you've educated yourself, spending that on marketing, because I think that's a quick way to get leads and get deals going.
Yeah, I've spent so much money on trial and error, and I'm getting ready to launch some YouTube ads, and I've YouTubed some stuff, right, to listen to YouTube, to how to do YouTube ads and all that kind of stuff. And I actually came across a guy, and he had a program, and I ended up investing $5,000 in this guy's course yesterday. And I did it because he has done it. He's got proven results. The guy does $30 million a year in YouTube ads. And I've got all of his processes and systems. I've got his ClickFunnels that he gave me. I've got his scripts. I've got his slide decks. I mean, I've got everything that you need to basically start YouTube ads. And I'm glad I came across him, because I was getting ready to just throw money at TV commercial type things, because I do TV commercials. So I was starting to put my TV commercials online, and he's like, dude, that's not how you do it. You've got to start with this, lead them through this, and get them to the finish line and build that relationship. And so absolutely investing in something that's going to educate you or get you the right system process. And you know what? Sometimes it's not, you don't have to invest in it. Sometimes you can get a mentor that's willing to mentor you for free. I mentor people every once in a while. I get a lot of requests for it, but for some reason, I when I get a message, I can tell if I can resonate with that person. And sometimes I'll take someone on and have some conversations with them and guide them through the process. So if you don't have the money to invest in a mastermind, education, courses, get a mentor that will guide you in the right direction, show you the ropes, and kind of help you get started. So
yeah, I love what you said there. Your two examples are perfect. The first is buying the course for $5,000, a guy who's proven he's done it. You could have spent some money on that and experienced it yourself and made all the mistakes, but you're going to accelerate your growth and get better results faster with someone who's actually like a professional, it seems like, at that point, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's a much better way to approach it, is pay someone who's an expert in that area. If you're going to do Facebook ads, or you're going to do, something of that that type of ad category, you want to pay an expert rather than just try to figure it out yourself, because you're going to waste a lot of money going it on your own, I think. And then the other example, 100%, I think if you're just starting out or not starting out and don't have the money for it, put the positive energy out there. I got a young guy here in San Diego who just called me out of the blue, said he was interested learning more about real estate, someone who I play pickup basketball with, and he's just got a really good energy. I gave him a couple books, and in a day he's already read the first book I gave him and halfway through the second book I gave him in just 24 hours. Nice. So he's proving that he's super hungry. And if you're if the person with the information is seeing that the person who's asking for it is hungry and really pushing for it, you with the information are going to want to give more of that. So, there's plenty of people that will do that out there as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Well, cool, buddy. Anything else you want to share with our listeners?
Boy, so many things that we could talk about, but I love what we've dove into today. I would say for anybody, whether you're experienced or just getting started, I don't know many overnight success stories. Have I had tremendous success? Do I, quote unquote, have a great lifestyle? I'd say yes, but at the same time, does not mean it doesn't come with, trials and tribulations on the regular, and sometimes on the daily. Sometimes you could be on a high and a low in the same day.
Same minute, buddy. Same minute, man.
same minute.
Yeah.
No kidding, dude. That's real talk right there. So, have long-term vision and goals, have short-term persistence and grit, and combine them together, and you should make it and be successful.
Cool. I appreciate your time, Dean. And by the way, I played high school football. I hurt my knee my senior year of high school, but I ended up playing college for a year and hurt my knee again, so I stopped. But that was my dream, to play in the NFL. So I do envy you a little bit because you made it to that level. But I tell you what, even going from high school to college was a whole nother level. I mean, I went from being the best person in the league to everybody was the best person in the league and just getting crushed. And I think I didn't know it was a concussion at the time. But looking back after hearing the stories, I realized it had to have been a concussion, because I did not feel good for 24 hours after I got hit. But man, that's, congrats on getting there, because that is a lot of hard work. And when you said fullback, I didn't realize you played fullback. That's got to be probably one of the toughest positions, because you're going full speed at those linebackers that are big and fast, man. Tell me a little bit about that. Was that just, tell me, tell me how that felt.
So let me address the first part. To be honest, I think the biggest shock was the transition from high school to college. Mm-hmm. Even going to the NFL, the biggest transition, even for myself, was going from high school to college, because you're a 17 or 18-year-old kid just coming out of high school. And now you're playing with men who are 21, 22 sometimes in college when you show up day one. And it's like, whoa, you're still going through maturity during those years and having some explosive changes. So the speed difference between high school and college was dramatic. Now, still, there was a transition to the NFL. Everybody is fast. And when I say everybody, the linemen, the 350-pound linemen are in stride with you. When you look over, you're like, oh shit, this huge human being is running as fast as I am. And that's terrifying. So the first day that I showed up, people were rolling in for the Chargers. I remember my eyes were so wide open, because I went to UC Davis, and in the grand scheme of things, it's a small college for football compared to, teams we played. We played at Cal Berkeley in college. We played Fresno State. We played Boise State, but even still, you've got the Alabamas and Clemson's and Ohio State. I mean, there's just massive linemen out there that are in college and then obviously in the league. And almost every lineman is just enormous. Across the board, most of them probably average 6'5" and 300 plus.
Mm-hmm.
And of course there's a variable in there, but I remember the first day I showed up, I was like, holy crap. And going from high school to college, it was the speed. From college to NFL is the size of the linemen, because everyone else was the same size as me, but the linemen were so huge. I remember just like, oh my God, can I truly play in the NFL after seeing these guys
Mm-hmm.
and how huge they were? But after I went to bed that night and woke up the next day, it wore off. The shock wore off. I was fine. The first hit I had in practice was against Hall of Famer Bob Sanders, who was strong safety, if you don't know who he is. And he was with the Chargers at the time. I remember running a counter play coming around and hitting with him just full speed. And just, I guess I made a good block. North Turner threw his clipboard and was like, yeah, he was super stoked. But I just remember how fast, in the NFL, what was crazy is most people are there because they're really good. And it's almost like it was like a computer game. Everybody went into their perfect spots. Everyone went in this little perfect slot. This guy went in this perfect slot. And everything was just 100 miles an hour. And so if you did your job right without a misstep, it's almost like you would just nail it perfectly. So that's what I was fortunately doing at the time. And I just remember, crushing with the linebackers. And, oh man, dude, it was just like such big collisions because they were the exact same size of me, 6'2", 6'3", some 6'4", 250 pounds. And, that's how big I was. And just the collisions were so big. And the linemen, you don't want to hit the linemen because they're just huge walls. I remember hitting Corey Leggett, the first-round draft pick that year, on one of the plays. He slipped through, and I remember hitting him. And, dude, that hurt so bad. He was just so physically huge. And his thighs were about as big as my waist. He was just a massive human being.
Right.
So
Right.
You want to try to avoid those guys for sure.
Well, cool, man. Cool story. I look forward to hearing more, man. I need to catch up. I knew about the Chargers, but we haven't gone into the story, so I look forward to those, man.
Lots of stories.
Yeah, I appreciate your time, man. Good stuff, and hopefully our listeners got some great stuff, and look forward to catching up soon.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, man. We'll see you, buddy.
Thanks for listening. Now go to www.remcommunity.com to connect with today's guest, see our high-level masterminds, and to get free resources. Don't forget to share this with a friend and leave us a 5-star review. We'll see you on the next episode.